Guys, did the awesome here to give you a video that I've been meaning to do for a while about a good old boy Ursus. This is a Ursus review video, and I'm happy to give you this because I think this monster is very, very, very anti-meta, and it has proven in a lot of really videos, like a lot of videos and just overall gameplay. I check out other people's channels, and this thing's actually pretty terrifying. This thing works. I even played against it in an AI match and random PvP, and to my surprise, it was good. Like, it killed Wormlad. Like, I haven't seen anything consistently murder Wormlad than this bear, besides the Zanya, which is a huge, 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 huge whatchamacallit, it's a big deal. Like, why is this thing so good? It's good for two reasons. One, it gets the ever so rare trait protection, except it's a skill cast. That's the bad side. It's not necessarily a perma, rank 3 crab droid, but it is a knockoff crab droid, which I don't understand why they couldn't just make this permanent. Unlike, crab droid who gets it permanent. I don't know why, but it is what it is. But regardless, this is a pretty good way to protect yourself against these. However, it won't stop her from removing the effects. You're on your own at that point. But beyond that, this is still a good option to run. It's still a nice thing to have. So we're gonna level up this monster, and yeah, we'll see what Water Boy Ursus can do. That'll be pretty great. Don't mind my cat, she's just chilling out using the box. If you hear that, it's like, oh, what the hell is that? That was like, it's my new cat, my boys and gals. It's Kiwi. She's messing around right now. You always got to bear your duties, if you know know what I mean. Bear joke. Eh? You could say that one got the cat. That wasn't even cringy one because I even said it wrong. We're just gonna level it up all the way. This is Ursus at rank 4, by the way, too. I did actually invest in the rank up pack, which I thought was phenomenal. I really, really, really did think it was a great deal. And hopefully you guys did invest in it. Again, you guys won't regret investing in it. It's such a good monster. Especially with the presence of Santerion, everyone's going to realize, hey, I really need a Pierce damage dealer because I can't do anything, like, at all. Like Pierce monsters are going to be the big thing, because Santerion's going to be in every single team comp ever in existence. Why? Because it gets Megataunt as a trait, not a buff. At rank 1, it becomes a perma trait, and that's a nightmare. That's basically cheating. That's low-key cheating. Like, in any normal monster sense, that's low-key cheating to have that as a trait. And even though there is a thing called trait disable, it's still not enough. Like, trait disable can be removed. So if you don't have anything to follow up with that punish, that's a huge thing, and it's even a bigger thing if you can't punish the other things that can undo your punish, right? Take Talos, for example. Talos holds a extra turn area trait disable. You actually need that extra turn to actually do anything. Like, that's a huge deal. And it doesn't work against Santerion. Let's say, in most normal situations, right, you would remove positive effects and then, area trait disable, get that Ragnarok in the back too, and so they're both trait disabled. It doesn't work in this scenario because Santerion's, thing is a trait, so all the enemy would have to do is, recover it after you use the skill, because once you use an extra turn skill, anticipation kicks in, and you're just probably having, they're probably running the lady or whatever, the Rasiyuko, or, they have the Ragnarok to cleanse it, and that's boring, or that's kind of a big deal, right? This is a bothersome big deal. You could say it's an unbearable ordeal. So we're gonna level it up all the way. We're gonna do big boy damage today. This you guys are gonna look at this damage and you're gonna be like, wow, that's a lot of damage. That's a lot of damage numbers and calculations. And you're gonna be like, hey, that's pretty good. Ice Claws is one of its Pierce skills. It actually costs 0 stamina to use. I highly recommend using this skill when you've been completely drained of all your resources. This is a pretty nice skill to have for those scenarios. I always put it in the back pocket. It's a nice thing to have. So that's what I would recommend. I don't think you need hibernating Ursus. This does give you double max life and life regen. You really just want to focus on the offensive play. That's the main reason why you use it. Use your other units to support Ursus. I don't think you need anything else. The last skill, honestly, I would run. I think that in terms of this last skill, I think it's depending who you're running with, because if you're running Hornet, right, the spammable skill is actually relevant, because then you can use, the protect positive effects, and then use, the Pierce Crystal following that, so you use your area damage skill, which will then allow you to still keep Pierce. You'll still have Pierce on you, and then you could either do... I guess it would either be a combination of Ice Claws into... Pierce Crystals, and then you just spam on the rocks for constant 50 damage power move, or 50 power move, or the just any other combination. You can also use this for any of the main nice thing about this, right, is you can use this for basically anything. Like, you keep Pierce for 3 turns, regardless of whatever skill you use, right? So whatever you want to put in last, he does have an area. He has a single target freeze, actually. It's not an area freeze. This actually could proc Ice Breaking Greatsword. Now, I'm a huge fan of that. I may run that skill because I really like the sustain. It doesn't do any good against other Ursus. Do you need more? Do you need a little more litter, honey? Are you playing in the... Here, I can get you some more. Do you need some more? That's okay, I'll get you some more. Here, you want to jump off? Here, let me get you some. Come on. Come on. Are you okay? You good? I can change the box. I can add more. Sorry. I'm being cat dad at the moment. My cat's just kind of playing in the litter box. She's playing with her. I can get you some more litter, honey. You good? Okay. Now she's brushing up against me. Okay, I'll give you some litter. Might have to change the litter, but here's a little bit more if you needed it. Alright, so for the last skill, really whatever you float to your boat. But I like, I really like Ice Breaking Greatsword. So I think this is a good skill to run last. For runes, I either recommend a damage and two damage and a speed, or just straight up full damage, my boys. There's no reason not to run this, full damage, or at least 2 speeds. Or a speed and 2 damage. You want the speed for priority other Ursuses, or you want the just maxed out damage for the insta kills for sure. Being the fact this thing gets a damage boost, I feel like you don't need it. Let's get some damage runes. I'm sure I have something here that doesn't need 10s to get its job done. That's a factamundo. I can take it off Ursus for sure, and then I can do. Let's do. What doesn't need it? I guess. I don't think he needs this. Yeah, you don't need it. And then I could do a speed. I don't have to run the best speed in the world. I just need it not to be slow. Or I could just run another damage rune. But I'm gonna run 2 X's. Boom. And then I'm going to run. I guess I could run the speed just to see how it plays out. I don't like units being really slow because I'm already running a slow unit. Like I'm probably gonna run a Mega Taunter with it, so that's not too ideal. But in the same token, if I don't have to worry about it, that's good. We'll test it out with a speed rune. Some people will look at me crazy, but maybe I think I need it. If I'm missing kills, then I'll swap it up a bit. Sadly, I'm not in a high ranking to showcase the power of Pierce, so we'll just have to do more videos on him later. But right now, I'll just give you like a typical comp, or just like how I would run this monster. I might change how to play him in the future, but for right now, this is just my current mindset of how it should be played. You can either run it full damage for maximum damage output or a speed for priority over other Ursuses. Let's see here. Do I have any any good fight? Do I have anyone like at least decent? Nope. The guy's running stuff for the. It's probably like a bad time to do this video. Like it's like in terms of because the race is going on, so everyone's defenses are terrible. Alright, we'll just start here and work our way up. Not exactly the stuff I wanted to showcase, but I could go for. Oh, I'm not even running the skill here. That's not the best thing in the world, but you know what? Total blind. So we can actually go for 2 things here. We're gonna go for the greedy Ursus, and then we'll go for the damage boost. Boom, and then boom, and then boom. We could actually pierce that. All right, so this is actually a nice thing we can showcase here. So you see that this thing is running, a max shield right now. I can actually pierce this and win. Like this spontaneously kills it, but I could use pierce crystals and I could still win. See, boom, goes through that. If he was wearing relic armor too, this is another reason why pierce is better than trait disable. Is it bypasses honestly everything. Like anything defensive, pierce will go through. Like indefinitely. So that means like things like tenacity shield or heavy duty armor, the annoying relics in the game, the best relics, the things that people should be using, it completely ignores it. That's so good. Like, can trait disable do that? No. That's crazy good. To have absolute damage for a damage dealer is nuts. Now, what are the things holding this monster back? Really just control. Like, that's the only thing you worry about. And you could run, like, Gortok and Necromancer for the immunities. And even Necromancer could give you another turn. And but just the sole fact that this thing can, pick and choose things is so useful. Because a lot of the time throughout the last year, the whole thing was about like denying like focus play with mega taunts and just taunt as a passive trait. Not being able to single out squishy targets or targets that need to die before anything else is a huge bother. Huge deal. Because things wouldn't go away like at all. It was such a big deal. So I can go for a few things here. I'm going to go for the area shocked here. I can do the greedy Ursus, and then I can do the area freeze. Or it's a single target freeze, but everyone takes damage. So that's pretty chill. I think this monster works in spades with Rasiyuko. Not just because of the fact they both pierce, but also due to the fact Rasiyuko can actually amplify the damage Ursus does with her water weakness skill. The water weakness debuff in general is a really rare debuff. Now, water monsters in general aren't naturally damage dealers anyway, but there are a few, like in each category. There is at least a damage dealer in each category that does really good damage and would love the weakness boost. But Ursus just so happens to be one of those water-specific damage dealers with his AoE skills. Not so much special base. I mean, like, he has a special base, his main thing is ice, slash, right? Or crystal slash or whatever. That does the pierce I think that's the skill, right? It's probably not the skill. But it's the main thing, right? I just realized I am in the dirt for ranking right now. Look at that. Like my ranking is low. It is dirty low. Power rise though, I'm really rocking it right now. That's a lot of power, my boys. I got the power. But yeah, I'm wearing the relic, so I can do. We'll do blind and shacked. He'll probably cleanse it. Okay, so he actually went for. Oh, I didn't do the. He went for the cleanse. He didn't go for anything that I'd like to show off. But yeah, I can just kill everything with this. Beautiful. Boom. I really wish I had like stronger units to show this off to, but I don't. It is during the race, so it's kind of low quality in terms of showcasing what this thing does. I really wish I had like a Wormlad to fight their Ragnarok because it is a really hard counter to them. Like to be just focused down. The reason why Wormlad or Hornet or any area dodge monster is really good. They can only ever be cheesed by single target skills, and for the most part, in every single defense, there's always an area dodge monster plus a taunt with passive trait. Because again, trait, as a trait, it is pretty busted because if you can't remove trait, or taunt, I mean taunt or mega taunt. Otherwise, like if it's a trait related thing, it is a huge deal. Like it is so big difference than just removing the effect because trait disable again is fairly weak if you don't have a follow up and if they clean it. A huge deal. Like a huge deal. Very huge problem. You can't do any follow-up plays if they remove the trait. Like that's a big deal with Centurion. I mean, like if they just cleanse your play, it didn't do you any good, and you're still stuck with a monster with Megaton. You have to kill Centurion before anything else. And it's a monster that gets artifact. I don't know if it was at 2 or 3, but at some point it gets like artifact, so you can't really DOT it either. It's a huge pain to see. It's like Tankurion, but if it was actually good. Like if it had Mega Taunt and if it had like Taunt and everything. That's what Centurion is. It's got healing. It's got life spans. It's just really good. And it has DOTs on top of that. It's basically everything like Tankurion. You remember that old metal legendary monster that was like a spin-off to like Timerion. They made Fleermirion and Timerion along with Ingenica, those three, they all came in a set. Yeah, it wasn't that good of a monster, competitively speaking, and the Centurion's basically what it could have been, but 10 times better. So I still don't have the protect positive effects up, but in terms of if it's a short fight, you don't really need it. This is kind of like, well, Dib, what if I'm not running Hornet, right? What if I'm not running protect positive effects? Well, you could still get away with the win. It just means you're running on 2 skills now, and one of them's on a 2-turn cooldown. So maybe you want to toss this. I will say toss out Ice Claws first. That way the cooldowns comes up faster. Like, also avoid cooldowns activation as much as possible, because these are his only 2 piercing conditional skills, right? He has to use Ice Claws or Pierce Crystals to even use his Pierce passive stuff, right? So that's a big deal. You have to at least do one of those 2 things in order to make the play. So always be sure to have that in like the back pocket. So even if he had that barrier up, you guys notice I took the time to remove that. Let's say if I needed to do something like anything else besides give like remove positive effects, I actually could do that. I didn't have to actually remove the guy's positive effects. I could have went for like a defensive play, like control immunity or like a damage boost. I don't think Hornet has damage boost, but that's example. I don't really need to use up a turn removing effects, and that could be another pro with Pierce. Is you don't really need to. Again, you don't need to remove effects. It just goes by everything. Like there's no like buff that protects you from Pierce. Pierce is an absolute buff, and if anything, it's the best buff in the game because it ignores literally everything else. Life regen doesn't matter if it's in KO range. You did. If max life shield 120% from if people ever use I forgot what the monster's name was, but there's like an Earth Cat Lady monster uh, that would apply like 120% shield. I'm not kidding. That's an actual shield that exists. I have her. I'll pull her up now. But if she were to do that, big shield skill, doesn't matter. Absolute damage, pierce, easy win. Best stat. All right, yeah, her name was Best stat. Uh, best, best stat. La la la. I hope that one's too. But yeah, absolute pierce. Absolute pierce means you just go through everything. It doesn't matter what they do. The defense doesn't work for them. So it is again, Pierce is really good. It's going to be really needed in this upcoming year. I feel like there's going to be a few more monsters with Megataunt as a trait, and it'll just mean it'll be 100% less appealing to even do like just natural like all the old damage dealers might be kind of unfavorable because again you're not allowed to do focus play. Santerion, as far as I'm concerned, lasts for 10 years since again it has artifact. It's annoying, and it heals itself. It can cooldowns activate a Cho, but still, it's pretty annoying. At this point, like in terms of damage dealers, Uglook and then this thing are looking like the only appealing damage dealers to run. So overall, I think Ursus, especially at rank 4, is must. In terms of this modern meta of just stuff that gets away with everything just because they have area dodge or like Megataunt as a trait. Again, not so much as like a like a buff cast. As far as I'm concerned, that's what the Curse Slash is for. This removes positive effects to one enemy, deals heavy special damage to one enemy, applies bleed to one enemy. This is what the cleanse is for. It doesn't care about that too much. In fact, it can cleanse it if it ever needed to, though it's not the best play in the world. It has the option to do it if you run it. Absolutely. I really liked Frost Harpoon because it goes well with Ice Breaking Greatsword. Completely worthless in all honesty against the mirror matchup, but if you're not fighting another Ursus, it doesn't matter. Then at that point, absolutely run Ice Breaking Greatsword. I will say if you are fighting Ursuses, there's no point to play it defensively. Like this can go for any other like monster tip in terms of like any comp running against an Ursus. Shields don't do you any good, like at all. They just don't. Not when Ursus is still alive. It affects the other two monsters, yeah, but in terms of the one that really matters, the main damage dealer, the main damage dealer is not going to care. It's just going to walk by any of the defense plays you make and then proceed to kill you. That's what the monster does. It operates just as well with that. Anything else about it that I want to talk about with Ursus? Damage boost play. In all honesty, I never liked doing, whenever there's a Ragnarok on the team, I never like going for an extra turn skill because normally they do the whole heal thing and then evasion. Well, Ursus doesn't really care about that. And if you are running a Megataunt monster, there's really no play that really bothers Ursus besides a turn pass, right? Like Ragnarok could go for a no more failures play, and that's bothersome. But it's not too bad, especially if you're running let's say you're running Ursus plus Ragnarok plus a Megataunt monster. If they do go for no more failures, that just means Ragnarok can go and do an extra turn skill, or just kind of prevent any more of shenanigans. If anything, you go for a total life drain or take advantage of any play at that point, and then Ursus can go and kill Ragnarok because Ursus bypasses evasion. Their number one reason why Ragnarok's so annoying is because of the Archangel Blessing, which gives it evasion, and it's if you have like a Tom monster, it's very annoying. But Ursus says, I don't care, kills it, and then you just kind of win. It's beautiful. It's majestic. But yeah, that's it for this video. I'm Dib the Awesome, and I'll catch you guys later.